Recording in progress.
Welcome into the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Real_G Warner. You can find me and everything on every social media channel you could ever think of. That would be on at the Real_G Warner across Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, and of course Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it nowadays. I just tweeted that we are live, super late night with the Real_G Warner, but here we are. We're back in the saddle. And it's time to discuss Europa League. We are now in the quarterfinals, going to go through each of the four matches in leg one, and then also going to go through the two advanced numbers, come out with an ultimate best bet. We're 37 and 15, 71% year to date, a little behind the times in grading, but we will get there soon enough, especially now that a long and tiring and grueling college basketball season has come to an end. Thank you for all your support across that. And of course, don't leave the summer behind because Major League Baseball has just begun. Plenty of picks coming out every day across all sports on patreon.com/Real_G Warner. But I'm going to go through the big games of this weekend. I do have comments open in case anyone is here with us live on StreamYard. And we will get started now, and what will likely be a more brief episode than usual. But let's get into it. So we'll start with Bodo Glimt. They are hosting Lazio of Serie A in Italy. Bodo Glimt, I believe, of Norway. Currently, Glimt a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 2.5. Juice very heavily to over. Bodo Glimt to me, so they're playing on an artificial turf field, which is certainly going to be a difference for anyone, especially coming to the top 5 European soccer leagues. I think we have Champions League young boys. They play on artificial turf in Switzerland, but usually it's got to be off the beaten path for that to be allowed, I think, at a top level. I don't know necessarily that changes much here. This is probably Lazio's best chance at a trophy, obviously, so they are going to be going all out. And I don't think the turf will really cause much of a problem. In terms of where this number has gone since I've been tracking it, looks like we've seen Bodo Glimt getting bet, which is a bit of a surprise because they're clearly the smaller name here, smaller club in a hosting an Italian giant. Maybe not one of the biggest in Italy, but certainly far bigger than what you'd be seeing in Scandinavia. And what I think we saw this season was Bodo Glimt. I mean, it's amazing that they're even in this round, considering, yes, Norwegian club. Amazing they're here considering they scored a bunch of goals. I think it was 2 rounds ago to get through. Ended up beating the brakes off of Olympiacos in the first leg and last round of 16 in the Europa League. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised they're here, but that's what happens when you have a big first leg and they have the opportunity to do that. To advance number, currently Bodo Glimt a plus 320 to advance, 100 US will win you 320. Lazio minus 450 means 450 put up to win 100. I think I'm generally, I guess, if you've been listening to the knockout round podcasts, Champions League this week or early Europa League and Champions League, of course, generally I want to have the team that's a home leg, second leg, because I think that's a big advantage. But ultimately, when you get to penalties, it's really a crapshoot, and I think it's generally better to have the underdog, though I have not had a ton of success in penalty shootouts as of late, starting with the Euro this past summer. But when I look at Bodo Glimt, I just feel like they have the ability to score goals, which is usually not something that Joe Dollar always complains. One of my longtime Patreon subscribers. Thank you for support, Joe. He wants me to play overs all the time, and I just don't. I'm not really that type of guy, I got to say. Bodo Glimt, they are able to score goals, and the big question is, can they score enough to give them the chance to advance in the second round? And usually what I do for the ultimate best bet is I put an early game with a late one in the Europa League. Unfortunately, we're down to so few now. There's not going to be many choices, but this will, in fact, be the early game setup. I'm certainly not going to play Lazio to advance at a very heavily juiced number. So I think if there's anything here for me, it is Bodo Glimt, a quarter goal underdog at home. Might be on Twitter at just Glimt, Glimt, but quarter goal underdog at home. Moving next to the bigger window of matches, we have 3, and I will discuss to advance on all 3 of them, and probably be the shortest Betting the Pitch podcast ever. But it makes sense as we're in the wee hours of Thursday, April 10th. And I will say thank you for all the reviews, the many watches, new subscribers and such. I've been kind of championing or trying to get as many 5-star reviews as possible. It means a lot for showing up in the search rankings when someone searches podcasts of various keywords next to it. Unfortunately, I got a 3-star review for not publishing soon enough towards kickoff time. That's not really what I'm looking for. And that's really something I hope that soy dinero, you'll change, because unfortunately, like, that really damages the podcast. And I don't think that literally putting out a podcast a day is something that anyone can be too angry about, especially when, unfortunately, I do them literally in the wee hours and barely sleep and trade sleep for it. So I hope that you would change your stance and at least change that review, because it's kind of an eyesore and it does damage the reputation of the podcast. And that's really not what me nor any of the other co-hosts really deserve, for doing this all for free, and honestly putting out whatever I can into this to try to help all of you win some money. So 5-star reviews only. If you're going to give something less, then just skip it. And I don't know, go for a lap or something like that. Maybe that'd be better, or yell out the window at somebody else, or at nothing. That might probably be the best way to advocate it. But that'll do it for the first round of matches for this Europa League quarterfinals in the first leg. We'll start with Rangers FC. They're hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Rangers a half of a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to under. And I guess I'll address the 2 advanced number. Currently, Rangers plus 330, 100 US will win you 330. Athletic Club Bilbao minus 450 to advance. So pretty expensive there. In terms of where this number has moved, it's climbed from a quarter goal underdog on the Rangers side to this half of a goal, though very juiced right now. I think we'll probably ping pong between those 2 numbers, but would expect if any money comes in, it's probably on the Athletic Club Spanish giant from La Liga, as opposed to a UK-based Scottish club like Rangers FC. Rare for me to say that, because usually I'm expecting money to come in on any UK-based team. But ultimately, Rangers really haven't gotten a ton of respect. We're about this price earlier this season when Tottenham were really struggling, and did get a home draw result to win a half of a goal underdog bet. And then, honestly, I thought we're much better than Manchester United on the road, and somehow collapsed after their goalkeeper punched a corner into his own net. But ended up pushing on the side +1 and pushing on the total plus under 3 on the road at Manchester United. So Rangers have proven they can hang, and I think I'm very interested in seeing what they can do against Athletic Club, who are so talented and so athletic. I know, but ultimately that's the big question, is for Athletic Club going away. They're usually a conservative style. They have much better players than everyone they play against, except for the top 3 clubs in Spain this season. So they've been, I think, more aggressive and more attacking, which they should be. But I still think that there's some defensive nature to Athletic Club. And I think especially in the first leg of a 2-legged tie, it's very likely that we see a low-scoring game here. And I think that plays into Rangers, both as an underdog, but especially to under 2.5 hands. So I'll go as my best bets for this game. I'm interested in Rangers as a side. I think I like the total under 2.5 more than anything. And I would love to potentially look into Rangers getting a really good result first leg and looking at their 2 advanced number at plus 330. But unfortunately, that just asks so much when they go on the road, and still given a 23% chance, which might feel a little bit high. Move next to Lyon. They're hosting Manchester United. I should be wearing my Lyon shirt, but I forgot that I did actually have a dog in this fight that I could wear some gear of. Anyway, we're here wearing a Mohamed Salah Egypt jersey, but I guess we'll work on it for the second leg. Lyon currently a pick'em right now to Manchester United. Total is 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to over, and 2 advanced numbers, Lyon plus 146. We'll be looking for a big first home leg, and then to hang on for dear life when they head to Old Trafford. Manchester United minus 180 favorite. I'm probably looking forward to, or looking a little bit deeper into Lyon to advance. They've been so talented. The new signing scored a goal for Argentina in the World Cup qualifiers in the Eliminatorias Sudamericanas just a couple weeks ago during the NCAA tournament here in the United States, but in their March tournament. And I've been really impressed. Lyon forever have great players. On Alexander Lacazette still there leading the club, and he's really stabilized who they are. In terms of where this number has moved, Lyon were initially a bigger pick'em favorite. That's come down a little bit. I would expect more Manchester United money to hit. So I'll be waiting for Lyon to try to climb to an underdog. That's certainly where I'm trying to be. I'm not a believer in Manchester United. No one who's been following this podcast all season has any sort of surprises about that. They've been really good for unders this season. I'm not sure this is going to be exactly that. Lyon are a goal scoring team, but ultimately, in knockout stages, when there is a lot to play for, you never know what's going to happen in these matches, and I think they will be tight. With that said, I'll stick with Lyon as my biggest interest in that matchup at Pick'em. Though honestly, I think any Manchester United match, the chance to fade their offense is a good thing to the side on Lyon, but also to the under 2.5. And I will say I'll put that to advanced number plus 146 on my list as a possibility as well. I'll move to the last matchup of this quarterfinal round. Let's go to Tottenham Hotspur, 3/4 goal favorites, to Eintracht Frankfurt. A little more juice on Frankfurt away, totals 3.25, juice all the way to under. Where has this number moved? So Eintracht Frankfurt, they have stayed a 3/4 goal underdog since I've been tracking it. Tottenham have been bet a little bit as the price has changed 3 cents. So not a huge amount of moves. Would expect Tottenham money to hit, even though they've struggled so much in the Premier League this season. You could argue that Eintracht Frankfurt have not been the same team since they sold Omar Mamouche to Manchester City, and he's been great for them. But Eintracht Frankfurt travel really well. Don't forget this competition a few seasons ago where they guaranteed themselves Champions League play by winning the Europa League. There's a lot of talent in Eintracht Frankfurt. They're certainly much younger than Tottenham, or kind of the finished products, and Eintracht Frankfurt are growing. But as we saw with Omar Mamouche earlier this season, they can certainly do it, and they can shock the world. Total here has climbed from a juiced to the under 3 to a juiced to the under 3.25. I think that's a probably reflection on just not really having a lot of belief in either defense here. Eintracht Frankfurt has been at least a little bit more pragmatic, which I think is important, and appreciate that away. We'll look at the two advanced number. Eintracht Frankfurt plus 120. So 100 US will win you 120. From a Tottenham perspective, minus 145. So 145 US to win 100. Clearly Tottenham are favorite here. And like I described earlier, I'm interested in Eintracht Frankfurt, just any team to advance when they have a plus sign and they have a second leg at home. Really, all Eintracht Frankfurt need to do is go on the road and try to play a brand of football that keeps them in this match, and then they can use their crowd for the next leg. But honestly, they've been so good away from home, and that was a big deal in their run to the title a couple of seasons ago. Yes, with different players, but still, I think the Eintracht Frankfurt on the road is always something to look at, especially in these European competitions. So for my interest in this one, I like Eintracht Frankfurt 3/4 goal underdog. I'd love to see them a full goal of insurance, but I don't think we'll get that. The total is large, so I'll go under 3.25, but I think I'm more interested in anything in the Eintracht side. And I got to say, Eintracht Frankfurt plus 120 to advance looks very interesting to me as I look at it currently. So those are the 4 matches to speak of. Of course, leg 2 will come back on an episode next week. Try to get this up as soon as possible. So those of you that feel like I haven't been putting out the candles late at night to try to get stuff out to you. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do besides record podcasts at 2 a.m, which I'm basically doing now, 2:30 Eastern time, 2:32 to be exact. But please, if you could, certainly those of you, if you have not rated the podcast yet, leave me a 5-star review would be huge. Any sort of comment, and I will certainly get to it or read it and do my best to put that out there. So it's almost time for the ultimate best bet. In terms of things to plug, we do have Thursday podcasts coming out on baseball with Munaf Manji on the pregame.com, RJ Bell's Dream Preview podcast network. You could also, of course, get it on Twitter at pregame now as it's spelled. And then we do have the F1 episode that's on this channel. That would be that should be recorded tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we'll get into that for sure. But no new comments to mention, and unfortunately, it's something I'd like to get changed if you're listening, of course. So it's time to get into the podcast and make sure I didn't miss any comments here. Looks like nothing because we're super late at night. That makes a lot of sense. And it's time to get into the ultimate best bet. Before I get there, I already mentioned the podcast. Check out patreon.com/real_GWarner if you're looking for all my plays across all sports. Baseball and soccer are the main places to do it. Certainly we'll be turning on the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we'll be trying to find some value there like we did last season. But get ready for all that, and looking forward to another good spring, summer, rest of season, and getting everything prepared for next year as well. So I think it's without further ado, to making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I have. Hopefully I haven't. If I can, please forgive me and don't give any three-star reviews, because I'm trying to get this stuff out to you every night if possible. So let's do it. Hey, this is real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet from the Betting the Pitch podcast. We've had an incredible year so far, 37, 15, 71% year to date. And we're trying to upgrade that with a winner on this episode from the early slate and the late window of the Europa League in this quarterfinals leg one stage. I take my favorite bet from each of the leagues I cover. In this case, the early and late windows of the Europa League based on their scheduling. Try to get you the best bet, try to get you a winner, and try to improve on that 37, 15, 71% year-to-date record. For this episode, from the early slate, I like Bodo Glimt, a quarter goal underdog, and in the late, I like Rangers FC, a half of a goal underdog. But for the ultimate best bet in this episode, we're going to go with Rangers. They have a big crowd on the road, always have a big crowd at Ibrox, and I think they're going to be in a position to frustrate an Athletic Club Bilbao side that I think will just look to get a result away from home, and it doesn't necessarily mean a win. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you on the next episode in just a few hours, it feels like, but have a great evening, and please leave a 5-star review. It'd be huge to balance out what we just got in the last one.
Recording stopped.